Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome along the Live Lounge. We've made it, boys. Show 100 is here. What an achievement. One, that we've made it this far, and two, that we haven't been cancelled along the way.
Just that we still exist without being pushed into the dull end of social media somewhere says enough about how we've managed to get away with it.
Yeah.
Happy 100, you pair of veterans.
Yeah, look, it's been nuts. It's been a roller coaster of a ride as well. We did try to get the housewife's choice in, but unfortunately, he's gone to Miller and Carter tonight.
Fancy bugger, isn't he?
Monday wedding.
Monday wedding. We definitely should have done like a look back, but the season is far too busy for us to have done that on everything we've done so far. We did the quiz or whatever before, but Monday wedding becoming a thing is...
Monday weddings should never, ever be a thing.
No, I blame Boise, and then my mate stitched me up royally, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
I made the biggest deal out of Monday weddings.
Tarmac is a biatch sometimes, and that was perfect. Literally
Yes,
perfect.
Dan, I'm not out of Insta.
No, you're Dan Pellegrino, mate.
Yeah, we're using some slightly different software tonight as well, so we can try and get some of your comments up as well, which is all good. Yeah, Stakey did well at the weekend. Cheers, Daniel. Evening, Paddy. Thank you very much, as always. James says good evening. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
How have we made it this far?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Reese. Cracking lineup we've got here.
Do you remember the first show? Do you remember the first one?
Oh, it was car crash. Absolute
we
car
tried
crash.
to simultaneously stream to Facebook and YouTube, I think.
Yeah, we tried to do it.
It was lockdown. We had absolutely no extra equipment. I'm pretty sure I was in my mum's bedroom as well, because it was the only place I could get some peace and quiet at home during lockdown.
No, yeah. I had the pleasure of being able to watch that back for the quiz for the 50th show, I think it was.
I wouldn't say pleasure.
I'm sure a question was around Phill saying 100%. Was it 100%?
How many times?
And yeah, you was in I think it was one of your parents' bedrooms. You was in a room that doesn't look set up as well as the one you're in now for a dark show.
No, not quite.
Yeah, to be fair, we've come a long way in 100 shows. I think it's safe to say.
There's a long way to go, though. We're not going to get complacent with it. We're going to keep moving on. We've been testing some new equipment, and I drive now, which is a big thing.
my chauffeur. Thank you very much.
Say something. Yeah, you keep buying me food, mate, and I'll keep driving you wherever you want to
go. Right, so the kind of plan for the show is Gary is due with us between 8:10 and 8:15. So we're not going to go into anything too much now. We'll keep having a little chat until Gary gets here. We have a nice chat with Gary for 10-15 minutes. Then we're going to look back on Copenhagen. We'll see how that goes. Matt will be with us around 9, which will take us into the Masters, and then wherever we go from there. So a couple more. Andrew is in. Yes, Tizzle's in.
How has Tiz never been the housewife's choice, by the way? I'd turn for Tiz. He's gorgeous.
You have turned for Tiz, not you would.
True. Gorgeous.
The man that had an absolute amazing day on the Super Series. Now Cullerton is in. How are we doing, buddy? To be fair, this one as well, there's a reason for this one, Rob. I've had to cover the washing machine because we're using some new software. I can't crop our boxes. So I've had to cover the TV with the branding. That's why.
He's got Gary Neville on in the background.
Oh, Dan's not happy, is he? But no, look, someone asked as well, but we can chat about this because it won't take long. Where was it? Connor says, what do you guys think about Luke Littler qualifying for the UK Open?
I think it just sums up just how bloody good that kid is. The first day he's eligible to play in any sort of senior PDC affiliated event, and he rocks up and qualifies for the UK Open. He will be slap bang on the middle of the TV stage 1 for his first game at the age of 16. Thanks for coming. And do you know what? He'll probably do a job on somebody unsuspecting as well. I think he's that good.
Let's be fair. Already we know 2 players that will play on the main stage on Friday afternoon. Luke Littler and Corey Cadby will play on the main stage.
Can you imagine if they draw each other? Could you imagine a 16-year-old Luke Littler telling Corey Cadby where to go? I'm so pleased for the carnage.
And that's before we've still got, another 13 qualifiers still to play in Riley's, and there's going to be some names in that. Surely that are going to want to not only a place at the UK Open, but on the big stage.
Yeah, completely. It's gonna be good. Steve says, happy 100. Looking forward to the guest. Thank you very much, buddy. Of course, Pete is in. Thank you very much. Hope you are well, mate. But yeah, when we saw Luke qualify, we were both like, is he 16 yet? Because that's one of the rules, that you have to be 16 to play in a PDC event. Oh, I'll tell you what, and as if by magic, we are joined by the one and only Mr. Gary Anderson. How are we doing, Gary?
Can't hear you.
Can you not hear us?
He must be able to hear you. I already know when to speak.
Told you this would go wrong.
We can hear you fine, mate.
Can't hear a word you're saying, Phil.
Is he just saying because it's Phill?
Can chat more. Settings. Audio. Speakerphone.
We can hear you okay, buddy.
Who said our production's gone up since the first show?
I can't hear what you're saying.
We can hear you fine, mate. 2 seconds.
Turning it up.
We can hear you.
I can just hear you, but very... Nah.
Have you turned your volume up on your phone?
What's it on? WhatsApp video call?
Yeah.
Would it help if somebody spoke while you're turning it up?
Oh, did you say not allowed to access your mic or something like that?
Yeah.
I'll come off and I'll get back in touch with you.
However, spoiler alert, I recognise the dulcet tones of who was in the background.
Yes.
That's
That's only just dropped.
Don't
Put
worry.
him next to him. Spin it around. We'll have them both on. We go again.
Speak to me, Phil.
Is that better?
Nah.
Ah,
Wait
It's
a
the quietest I've ever heard you.
it's a bonus, isn't it?
Can we have that option as well?
minute. No. I'll drop.
There's no speaker button here. Yeah. Settings.
There he is.
Audio.
Oh, fuck me, I can't even see that. It needs to be touched with my nose.
Hey.
Stop swearing.
Oh,
I can
sorry.
hear us. Speakerphone.
Go back onto the main page.
I've just messaged you.
That's better.
There you go.
Hey!
Hey, here he is.
The only problem is now, can't bloody see you.
That's a bonus, mate. You don't want to see us.
Oh, no, he's gone again. Gary and technology. Honestly, Gary and technology are great. There he
Back
is.
again. Whatever you did, do that again.
There he is.
Nah, I can't hear you again.
Oh. Can you hear us now, mate, or not?
What have you done before it worked?
We didn't do anything.
Settings. Audio. Default.
This is going exactly to plan, Tommy. We're starting this 100th show exactly how we did the first
Nah.
one.
Should be on speakerphone. Oh, wait now.
Is that better?
Turn the volume
Right.
up.
That's it. I can hear you fine now. So you done something the other now. My
No,
volume's
we
right.
haven't done anything. We haven't done anything. It's all you, mate.
There's a wee green thing that came up. You know what I'm like with technology? Come on, give me a break.
But he's finally here. First of all, Gary, welcome along. Show 100. First of all, how are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Yeah, loving the dream.
Well, you've kind of given the game away there. Having a little practice with Mr. Searle before the Masters.
No, we're painting a room. We're playing some snooker and doing some painting. No practice. No. Yeah, he's up the night for a practice. You know, gets me off my backside, and it's been hitting the board quite a bit recently on the ride. So yeah, going good.
I suppose it's a little bit cold for fishing at the moment.
Frozen, solid. Absolutely freezing down here, but yeah. So what else can I do? You know, can't beat the weather, but a few days off, which is nice to have.
I suppose one question that comes up around you and the fishing, obviously everyone knows that you love fishing, but how did it transpire that you actually got into running a fishing lake and owning one?
Don't know. Don't ever ask Rachel that either. You know, it was one of these brainwaves that I had for my retirement. You know, just something nice to fall back on when I finish playing the darts. And God, it's hard work. It's absolutely brutal. You know, summertime cutting everything down, wintertime cleaning everything up. It's a good hard graft, but it doesn't kill me anyway.
Don't
We
be
see as
dropping
well,
a
obviously,
retirement
Rachel's busy.
bomb on us yet.
Yeah.
Don't be dropping that retirement word into conversation yet. There's more in the tank.
I told you I wouldn't tell you I was retiring. I'll just disappear.
He's got his eyes on the seniors. That's what it is. He's seen how well the seniors have run in 1 year.
Hey,
And he's on that.
You've got me a chance to drop a lottery back twice. I tell you. No.
To be fair, that's one thing you've always said, Gary, that when the time is up, you don't want that fairy tale walk away like Barney had and whatever. You're just going to go and disappear.
Well, that's it. You know, if I want to come back, then I can. You know, if you say you're retired, then come back. It's a bit of a, oh, no, you're retired. So once you're retired, and that's the way I see it. You know. So, but hey, listen, I'm really enjoying the darts now. It's took a long time since I've enjoyed playing darts. So yeah.
I was going to say,
Smiling
is
for
that
a change.
fire back? Is that burning back in the Gary Anderson belly that we see?
I'm just enjoying it. You know, like I said, at least twice a week, me and Ryan's having a good old session on the dartboard, and it's been great. You know, I've enjoyed it. Whereas before, if somebody says you've got to drive 45 minutes to an hour to go and have a game of darts, I'll be going, oh no, can't be bothered with that. You know, but no, it's been good, and I look forward to going up to us as well.
we know that you like to have a tinker with equipment as well since the Worlds. Have you got anything new, or is it still the same dart? Because last time you turned up with the front-loaded one and...
No, same dart, I think. I don't know, couldn't tell you. I think it's the same darts, yeah. Yeah, no, same darts, that's it. All the other ones are the ones that I've got lying about have been binned, so I've only got my set that I'm playing with.
Obviously, we know Rachel likes a bit of social media, and we've seen you on the touchline at Ty's Football and everything like that. What kind of a dad are you watching football? Quiet, or do you like to give it some on the touchline to him?
Now, see, this is a tricky moment, you know. I remember my brother's playing football, and I used to go and listen. The parents were terrible, you know. It's kids' football. I think I'm turning into one of the parents. You know, it's, you know, if you see your boy getting hurt, you can't help yourself. But no, I really enjoy it. You know, it's been a long time since I've been into football. You know, every Saturday, Sunday night I'm away. He plays twice on a Saturday and on a Sunday. And I love it. You know, get away. We were even away watching Bath City the other week on New Year's Day. We were away watching them playing Chippenham, I think it was. It's good.
Kids keeping you busy, because obviously we see Ty loves just about every sport going, and Cheeks as well. Is that age now where she's getting on with it?
Well, yeah, and it's every night during the week. Ty's usually at Portishead way, and she leaves the complete opposite end of the county, you know, so it's absolute murder, you know, but listen, they love it. It keeps them healthy, keeps away from the telly and the computers, you know, so she's got her gymnastic, he's got his football, his kickboxing, you know, and his gym that he does, so yeah, he's living the life.
Back to yourself, are you looking forward to having a year away, not playing in the Premier League, so there's not all this travelling, that you get to spend more time at home and get to concentrate on things like the Pro Tours and things like that?
Yeah, looking forward to starting the Pro Tours. You know, listen, don't get me wrong, the World Series and the Premier League's been fantastic over the years, you know, but if you listen to them now, they're moaning about being away all the time. So, you know, someone's been out 5 minutes. You know, I've been doing this now 25 years, you know, living out a suitcase on the road constantly. So, yeah, it's part of the job, you know, if you want this as your job and your occupation, you've got to knuckle down and just deal with it.
A couple of people are asking in our chat room, Gary, what your main objectives are for this year?
Just to wake up every morning, get out of bed. No, listen, I'm just looking forward to getting back in the Pro Tour. You know, just playing darts. Like I say, I'm playing with Ryan now, and I'm really, really enjoying it. You know, so that's been the battle that I've not had for the last 3 years. You know, I've been playing rubbish. Why have I been playing rubbish? Because I don't know what to play. You know, and it's to try doing something you don't want to do. It's hard to explain to people. You know, everyone does it in building trades a lot. I can't be doing it anymore. And that's what I was like, and that's what I was feeling. But I've had a few talkings to a few certain people, and they say, look, this is what you've done for so many years, so just keep doing it. So, yeah, bit of advice off them, bit of practice with Ryan, and all's rosy.
That's quite staggering, because normally, obviously, I've known you a few years now, and you're not one to normally take advice. It's just like head down and get on with it. So, are you actually maturing as you get older?
No, I'm getting grumpier. Especially when I've talked to you lot. I'm great to have to speak to you.
Come back, Paul, he's going to be raging. No chance. I'm not speaking to Phill again.
I'll only tell you once, if I'm not speaking to you, that's it. We're done. But, I got officially about 2.5 years ago, and my heart and head's been into that. But I've got a couple of boys, Dave and Ed. You know, they know how to run the place without me being there now. So that lets me slip away a bit now, and you never know. Might be in the dartboard 7 days a week.
That's a scary thought.
All right, we'll go for 3 days a week.
Never happened.
What a drop from 7. Straight down to 3.
Obviously, on the plus side, Gary, there is a Wagamama's right next to the Milton Keynes Stadium this week.
Yeah, I know that, Phill. Yeah. We've got them on bloody map counter, haven't we?
Also, thoughts on Michael Smith winning the World Championship? Obviously, you've known Michael for a long, long time, and everyone predicted he would win it. You surprised it's taken this long?
I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised it took him this long. You know, but he's had the talent for donkeys now. You know, he was with us for 12 years, so I thought he'd have done that probably after the first, the way he was playing 4 or 5 years, But nah, he saved it to the best, hasn't he? He's won it and then took the number 1 spot. So he's done it all in one shot, which is a great achievement alone. So yeah, he got there at the end. So yeah, he'll be chuffed with that.
One of the other questions that come up before we let you go is obviously the World Cup. Last year you sidestepped it because you wanted John and Peter to defend it. Obviously John's lost his tour card now. So will you go back and play Scotland again?
If I'm still in the top 128, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm there, I'll play with it. Yeah. But like I say, listen, it was an easy decision last year. John and Peter won it last year, and it was the year before, sorry. And it was they had to. It was black and white. They had to have a shot at retaining it, no matter what, So, yeah.
Gary, absolute pleasure to have you on, mate. We won't keep you any longer because we know you're practicing with Ryan, but thank you very much for hopping on to Show 100, and we'll see you. There they all are.
It's freezing.
And we'll see you in Milton Keynes this week, mate.
Well, do. That's only because Rachel threatened you it had to be under 10 minutes.
Yeah, see, I know.
You know what I'm like now. That's it. It's done. Got to go.
Gary, pleasure as always, mate. Thank you very much.
Right, lads. All the best. Ta-da.
Ta-da. The Flying Scotsman, Mr. Gary Anderson, and also confirms he will play in the World Cup, boys.
If he's still in the rankings. More practice sessions than Ryan needed.
He's still going to... I was looking at this the other day. I think he's got about a 60 grand buffer, if not a little bit more.
Yeah, he's 74,000 in front of Soaps.
Yeah.
That's
we don't have a race to the World Cup period in darts rankings. I don't know where that's at that point in the year.
Yeah. But massive thank you for Gary to coming on Show 100. And the fact he's there practicing, boys. And I'm excited. And I know we've said it before. It's the hope that kills you. However, this is encouraging, boys, that we might see prime Gary Anderson again.
You know when you just don't want to get your hopes up too much? Like, I've just seen it and I'm still like, but tomorrow he could decide, nah, bugger it. I'm just not going to bother. Like, there aren't many that love Gary Anderson, the dart player, the way that I do. One of the reasons that I got into PDC darts when I did, like I was BDO, never had Sky as a kid or whatever. When I finally was at uni and started seeing more and more darts, Gary was ridiculously good. Should have gone back to back world championships, and in full flow, he is one of the greatest that have ever played the game. His A game is right up there, 100%, and just want to see him back it up for one more year. That's all I have.
One thing that was noted, though, is if Gary would have said to us, I'm practicing 2 or 3 times a week with Ryan Searle, would we have believed him? Probably not. Now we've seen that he's actually practicing with him. There's a bit more of that expectation rises a little bit because we know he's there. Whether he's actually practicing on that board as much as what Searle is probably the other question to it. But at least he seems to be putting a couple of days in a week, and we'll see how that progresses as the year goes on. But he's still a threat, isn't he? That's the thing. Especially if he's practicing, he's still a threat. And it seems like there's more concentration on darts this year. And it's probably that realisation that he's dropped to a low of 22, which we're not expecting from Mr. Anderson.
I guess there was definitely a sense that he was enjoying it more. Like he said that a few times. And he's not going to sit there and lie to you. If he hates the sport or doesn't enjoy doing it at the moment, he will tell you straight up. And the fact he's enjoying it, I think perhaps is a sign because of not included in the Premier League or expected to not be in the Premier League. That lineup's not announced, but we don't think he's in the conversation at all this year. Less likely to be involved in World Series events and whatever. That's a good chunk of your calendar, travelling, living out that suitcase lifestyle that he doesn't enjoy, gone straight away.
Yeah. Oh, completely. Look, this is a good sign, and I'm excited by this. I really am. Look, for me, I know everyone there. Every other week on Twitter, we see top 10 lists and X, Y, and Z. However, for me, Gary is genuinely borderline. He's 4 on my list, but he's borderline 3. That's how highly I rate him.
I think
Gone back to back. He's in top 3 conversation with Eric. Genuinely.
Yeah, the fact is probably in. I would go as far as say definitely in everyone's top 10. There's then the argument of the top 5 of he's around that area. Where it's across that sort of 4, 5, 6 sort of mark on a lot of players just shows what impact he has. And the one comment he made that sort of made me laugh a little is around the World Series and players moaning about all these events that have only been in it 1 week. Or I know he sort of jokes about that, but have only been in it a year or two. When there is people like Gary and probably looking at like Michael Van Doon and that now who have played in these for 8, 9, 10 years, if not longer, where they're travelling the world consistently, and it's that impact on the current players where they've only had it a year or two.
Yeah, look, massively. But look, amazing. Thank you very much for Gary for coming on. Moving on, boys, there was a World Series event this week. First of all, before we dive into it, your overall thoughts on Copenhagen. That there's one thing that we have to address and discuss, and it was the idiot that threw the pint at Peter Wright. Now, this behaviour has been coming. Surprised it was Copenhagen, but now there's an issue now that the fact that a missile has been thrown at players.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that it's time at an event. I'm guessing it's unfortunate it's happened at all, but it's unfortunate it's happened at an event where we certainly didn't expect it to happen. It's a cloud over a venue that's done well over the years. It's been a very good venue for darts. Unfortunately, it did happen, and it's just not a nice sight to see. Hopefully, it is a one-off occasion. That person hopefully was evicted from the venue straight away.
I can confirm he was frog marched out quite sharply.
That's good.
And I think that's happened before. We've seen sort of a beer thrown over the Wharton. I'm sure you'll remember who it was, Phill, a few years back. I think it was Premier League. Not those sort of things. They are very rare, and the fact that they are shut out the venue, very, very
good. To MVG at the Worlds, didn't it?
Was it the Worlds?
Someone threw a beer over him.
I thought it was a Premier League night.
It definitely happened at the Worlds as well.
Yeah, it might well have been. It's one of them that they are very few and far between, and hopefully that will be the case with this occasion with Peter Wright.
But the actual tournament itself, overriding thoughts?
Improvement on the week before, but still struggle to get excited about a World Series in January, personally.
Yeah, I think both of the organisations that paid to have World Series at this time of year, when I personally think the players should be on a rest and should be enjoying that break. That time of the year is World Championship. Go and give the players a couple of weeks rest. You think Aspinall's on holiday, Van Gerwen's jetting around all over the world to get back in time just to play his first round game. God knows how many other players are trying to take a holiday at that point as well. Joe Collins away and a couple of others at that point. Let those players have a break. There is absolutely no need to force these two World Series in at this time of year. And do you know what? As much as we will criticise ITV for not showing things live, this is just desserts to those in Copenhagen or in the Nordic and Baltic region that made this happen, that overinflated their self-importance to this World Series event. So it gets in before the Masters, trying to be one of the first events of the year. The ITV are then too busy on their schedule to show it live. I thought that was beautiful irony.
Yeah. Look, round one, let's be brutally honest, the seeds weren't in any danger. Wright made hard work of the game against Dennis Nilsson, but if he'd have lost it, it would have been his own fault because missed doubles all over the place. But Michael Smith winning 6-0, Luke Humphries winning 6-1, Wright 6-5, but it should have been more comfortable. MVG literally got to the venue a couple of hours before he was due to play. He's averaged 91, but not looked in any danger whatsoever. Price 6-0, Vandenberg 6-2. We'll come on to Dimmy in a minute. Rob Cross 6-1 and Johnny Clayton 6-3, it was a procession for the 8 PDC stars.
It was, but I guess from when we were speaking last week, looking at this was one of the World Series events where we expected a seed or two to drop. Probably the biggest surprise on Friday was that there was no surprises. We didn't expect to see all 8 seeds through in this event. Slightly different to Bahrain, the well-known names in darts. So that was probably the biggest shot that no one really got tested. And
there's an argument to be had here, though, that the Bahrain 8 actually caused the PDC 8 more trouble than the Nordic and Baltic. You think Alan Abbey was a leg away and missed darts to beat Dimitri. Manlock Lung played very, very well against Luke Humphreys, pushed him. Tori Suzuki was steady. Look, admittedly, 1 week on, these boys have had, the PDC 8 have had more time on stage, more practice of gearing back up for the season. But there's an argument to be had that actually that Bahrain 8 caused more trouble at that point, and that's, or as much trouble, shall we say. And that's, as we said, this is one where we expected a chance of an upset, a chance of a Rasma or a Larson or Labanauskas to do some damage. There's tour card holders in this 8. There's players that we've seen at World Cups. There's players that we've seen in the PDC as tour card holders before. Cantele was at Q School the week before.
And I'm made to the point, really, that the highest average was Nilsson, and that was 87. Before that, I think it was 82, 83 maybe. The standard of the other 8 in this field was certainly expected to be better, quality-wise, completely from Bahrain. Probably go as far to say if you put these 8 up against the Bahrain 8, you would expect these 8 to come through. So that sort of shows the standard that we had here with the Nordic players. So it was a disappointment from them, mate. But
it's that point where they've caught them cold in the season, where these boys have either been at the World Championships or not. Cantele's come straight from Q School, which is grueling. We saw what that did to Mark McGeaney in the Super Series last week, where he played, 12, 13 days straight by the end of the week? Something ludicrous like that. He was exhausted, and he's been playing darts for 30 years.
Yeah. It was... Yeah, I was just disappointed, if I'm being honest, that I was expecting a little bit more from... Also, for me, this wasn't the best 8 that the Nordic and Baltics could have had either. Because of the timescale, I was chatting to a couple of the local Daniel over there that does a lot of writing and things like that. That let's be fair, that for me that wasn't the best lineup, or not the. It could have been showcased better as well. That Marco Cantale has obviously been a fantastic player, but what does he offer now? Is he going to inspire another generation? I don't think so. Where you've got players like Andreas Toff Jorgensen that is desperately fighting for everything he can in darts, would have showcased it better.
Yeah. Although he did struggle at Q School performance-wise, so maybe not the best. But look, there were a couple of Finnish players at Heikki Haivanen and Jonas Masselin from Finland who were pretty impressive through Q School.
Yeah.
And a few other names that you can chuck in there as well. Wrong time of the year for me is the massive thing to take away from this. The PDC boys are gearing up now. They've got the Masters coming up next. There's still question marks over some of these guys being involved in the Premier League. And there was a chance for some of them to stamp their authority on those picks whilst others are absent, I guess. And even then.
Yeah. Where was it? There's this one. Tommy, the atmosphere was actually really, really good. To be fair, the Danish know how to party. That's for sure. The atmosphere was good. Evening, Patrick is in. How we doing, mate? But moving on. Quarterfinals. Michael Smith, Luke Humphreys. Strange game that 10-7, but Luke Humphreys will be kicking himself because every time he got back into the game, he then handed his throw straight back to Michael Smith. So it was one of those games where also Michael Smith being conservative because he only had the flights and stems that were in his darts, as we saw from social.
Yeah, not rookie mistake, but understandable when you're as busy and in and out as some of these guys are in the lifestyle. But yeah, that won't have happened. At this point, there were still gears that Michael Smith could accelerate through, or you felt like that we've seen very, very recently. And the longer this streak went on of winning games, the more and more you looked at it and went, genuinely, what is it going to take to stop Michael Smith from winning games of darts?
Yeah. Yeah, and he was winning with B game and that. It was just like, just winning breeds confidence, boys. As we've seen before, we've seen Michael Van Gerwen, Peter Wright, Gary Anderson win with their B game. Rob Cross, a master at winning with his B game, boys. See, and something that Michael Smith's developed.
There was it was that inevitable feeling that he probably could have averaged 85 and he still felt like that he was going to win the game. There's something there with Michael Smith now, and it's not even the World Championship for me. It's that Grand Slam win that has then propelled him to even more. And for me, Luke Humphries just looked a bit flat. He didn't seem as we've seen him previously on the Euro Tour. So there's a worry for the rest of the field. We said it before we won anything, and I think now we're cementing that about Michael Smith, that once he'd won something on TV, he's just going to go on and win more. And he's able to do that with different gears. It's not always going to be a 105 with 10, 15, 180s. It's not always going to be that down. There's a lot more to Michael Smith's down than the power storing, and we've seen that now.
Yeah. This was one of the games of the tournament, choice of two, but this was certainly up there. Peter Wright edged out MVG in a last leg decider. Just a really good game of darts. And MVG surprised me because I'm not going to lie, when he got to the venue on Saturday, he looked absolutely dead. Obviously, jet lag had hit, just flying halfway around the world, and it was just like, wasn't expecting a lot. But it ended up being an absolute belter.
Yeah, I mean, you told us that he looked absolutely knackered, but the performance was still solid. And imagine if he was at full flow. He's definitely going to have the bit between his teeth after that world final. I mean, there's a long way to go. And look, I think the problem is that Michael has now won so much in his career. I genuinely think the focus for him is just on World Championship titles now, on getting ahead of Barney and trying to get as close to Phill as possible. That's really all Michael's got left. So now he's got an entire year to wait before he gets another crack at that. But it's good to see that he's still producing these level of performances. He could have said no to this event. He's got the leeway within the PDC. He commands enough crowd time and TV minutes, and he's still prime time slots whenever they get a chance. That he could have said, no, I'm staying on holiday for this one. I see you at the Masters, but I'm playing in the rest. And the PDC would have gone, yeah, okay, Michael, we'll see you there. And he didn't. He rocked up and battled through a solid performance against his old adversary who loves to chat as well. I bet that wasn't easy to do when you've had no sleep. 19 legs of Peter Wright on stage with how many breaks and whatever in the background. So, yeah.
Gerwin Price beats Dimitri Vandenberg 10-7. And someone had a little word in Dimitri Vandenberg's ear. Because this weekend, he played at a nice pace, a lot quicker than what we'd seen. There was no slowing down, there was no hint of anything apart from we had some celebrations. He played at a nice pace and he got on with it.
Until Premier League night one, if he's picked, and it's we know it's coming if that happens. Yeah, we know exactly what's coming. I think it seems that a lot of players are told it, or they're all very clever to sort of get around the point of this time of year. We need to see a certain action or certain performance on stage away from just the dartboard, because we saw it from Ross Smith, I think, a bit more at the World. We've seen it from Dimmin at the World Series. There's probably a few more examples out there, but none of them into mind, that we are seeing that the Premier League picks away. And there's, certain players like Gary earlier alluding to that it was great while it's here, But now there's other players who are looking to step into those shoes and they're in there for the first time. Luke Humphries, one we've just mentioned, who has spoke about the Premier League since, I think them were his first words. Now we've got other players who are now pushing towards it, who are talking about it all year round. And if they're not in now, they're getting ready for next year and that pusher then.
Yeah. See you later, Tyler. Thank you very much for joining us. And then Johnny Clayton does an absolute number on Rob Cross in a really, really strange game. We'll talk more about Rob in a minute. But the ferret marches on. Semi-finals. Peter Wright got in front of Michael Smith early. Michael Smith almost found a way back into it, but that lead was just too big, boys, to claw back.
Yeah, and it's at this point Peter Wright decided to exhibit some of his finishing, because he'd been pants on the outer ring at Tom Plus's throughout. Look, 99 was his highest in this one, but he was just a machine on the doubles. He just switched on. And there was a question. Tommy says, do you think Smith struggles to play right? Potentially, because of all the players in the top 8, one of the most methodical is Peter Wright. It's not that he's slow. He's just rhythmic and methodical. There is a distinct pace to the way that Peter Wright plays the game.
Yeah. But Peter Wright into the final, and the other contender for game of the tournament was Gathering Price against Johnny Clayton. The Iceman edged him out in a last leg, but it was just a damn good game, Boise.
Do we expect anything else when these two play each other? If
No.
it's an exhibition stage, Premier League stage, any TV event, when Price and Clayton play each other, there's always something in there. If it's not a close game, you've got the Clayton at the Grand Prix stepping up and going through days to sort of demolish Price. You just have so many different outcomes, but always both players playing to a very, very high standard. And you can tell there's that sportsmanship. I think there's a bit of I don't think Price is at the bidding as much against Johnny Clayton. I think there's probably more respect for Johnny than there is anyone else on the tour. And that potentially hinders him, since Derwin Price was part of the partnership for the World Cup. We saw the record sort of spin a little bit on its head. But when these two meet, it is always a blockbuster. We talked about the two Michaels meeting in the World Championship, and we want more of that. We also want more of Price and Clayton going head-to-head.
The one thing I will say, this game showed more than anything. If you look at the stats for this one as well, this game showed more than anything that there's still work to be done for Johnny Clayton in terms of understanding how his darts enter the board. He's hit 35 tons, 13 140s, 4 180s to Gezzy's 11 180s. Now, when he's on it, it's fine. But because there's such a weird little angle that Johnny's darts enter the board, they're not quite stuck up enough to work underneath, and they're not quite flat enough to go over the top as well. I think it hinders Johnny a little bit in terms of the scoring phase. He is one of the best 140 hitters on tour, but I think that's when you've got room next to the barrel, not when you can work above or below it. And I think this against Gezzy just showed that. The fact that in the last few legs, Gezzy started to find that first dart in the treble bed, and it almost became, you know exactly where this is going. It became inevitable at times with the scoring phase, and there's still that element of Johnny where it's not quite inevitable that if that first or second's in, he's going to follow it. Even in full flow, even when he looks like he can't miss, there's still that element of, well, he might get deflection here, or might float it too high or too low. He doesn't really have the use of his dart in the board to help him compared to other players who first dart merchants.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. A couple of people asking about Peter Wright's darts. So for the first 2 rounds, he used the same set. He used a Red Dragon. I don't know exactly what they were, but it was a straight barrel dart. And then at 5-all, he changed to another straight barrel dart. They're actually Barry Bates's darts. They're a little bit heavier. And he played with them for the last part of the semi-final and the final. But let's be fair, it's not a shock because they're straight barrel. Peter Wright can pretty much throw any straight barrel dart. That's not really a surprise.
And I'm hoping that's what he's realised. No more Phill Taylor style darts. No more Simon Whitlock style darts. No more messing around with any other shape or design. A straight barrel dart with a regular 32 to 36 millimeter, 36 mil point maybe, or somewhere around that, 38 mil point. Nothing too long or exaggerated. A short or a medium stem and a normal flight. No more messing around with the all-in-one plastic setup and whatever else. I just don't think it works for him.
Yeah. Big Johnny is in. Gotta make ourselves look good, man.
We just haven't got a feed into one place. We could all feed into an external. Yeah. This software's we're staying here.
And then in the final, let's be fair, Peter Wright did an absolute number on going price. And the next bit I'm going to say to you, if we'd have said this a year ago, we'd have all looked at each other and said, "Are you drunk?" This was Peter Wright's first TV title win since winning the World Championship.
And no one expected it to come. If we'd have said any time in January that Peter Wright wins a tournament in January, I think everyone would have said, not happening. It's not coming. So as much as there's that 12 months ago, there's also this now that no one saw a Peter Wright win, us three included in that. And you'd be right to be saying that at the time, because it just didn't look like it was coming, the level of performance. Yes, as you mentioned, that the jet lag of MVG, but still Peter Wright had to step up in that one to get through. He beat Michael Smith, who's on an incredible run. He still is on an incredible run. He's got 2 losses in 21 or 22 games, which is ridiculous from the world champ. And then for him to then get across Derwin Price, Dob, you're looking at me weirdly.
No, I've just worked out he beat number 1, 2, and
3.
4 in the world. 1, 2, and 3 in the world, and he's number 4.
It's not bad.
He beat 1, 2, and 4. He is 3.
That's ridiculous.
And played some very, very good stuff.
That's out of nowhere.
Saving probably his best performance of the weekend for the price. Yeah, on average, it looks like that. Getting over past MVG in the tight game was still. And that's not mentioning his win against the world champion. So, yeah, as you allude to, it's what a day of victories for Peter Wright.
Right, we've got some clips. We'll do Peter Wright's winners one first.
I feel good. I feel like, I'm an old man. I could quite easily go on quite happy beating MVG and then losing to Michael Smith, the world number 1, the world champion. I thought, no, I've got to show Michael, people are after him. You can't ride the luck all the time. So, it's, I decided to turn up for a tournament. It's good.
No. There are some things with Peter Wright I get you take with a pinch of salt and whatever else. But calling any world champion or any level of performances luck is beyond me. It's just not. Because Peter was in exactly the same position that Michael Smith was in, not winning a final for God knows how long and not being able to get over that line. Yes, you create elements of your opponent missing a shot. Did you see Mace and Jackie have that conversation as well?
No, because we didn't have the ITV feed. We had the Matchroom feed.
So Jackie said something about having luck on his side, and Mace was like, no, not luck, fortune. And there's a difference. And they went into a little bit of an argument about that one. He's like, look, he's not lucky to have hit anything. He's fortunate someone else has missed something, or at times. But he's not really survived match darts or anything, has he? He's survived the odd key moment, but he's still had enough to keep everybody at arm's length. That don't sit right with me. And it will probably wind Marcus Smith up as well, which is probably why Peter Wright said it. But nah.
Next, we're going to do Johnny Clayton.
My confidence is high. Listen, I'm back to play darts. Last year, it wasn't the Johnny Clayton that it was the year before. I wasn't feeling it, to be honest. But this year, I'm coming back. I want to do the best that I can. And, hopefully, I can win this weekend and maybe start something off, and just cross fingers. I know I can do it, and hopefully it comes right.
Is there a glint in the ferret's eye right now?
I don't know. I tell you one thing. I'm frustrated at times, and there's a few legs there that I got frustrated. I just want to be Johnny Clayton again. I just want to play darts, and I love it when things go right.
I just want to play darts. Did we hear that earlier?
Hang on. Was the background pissed? Am I pissed, or was Johnny pissed?
No, the ball dropped halfway. One of the cable ties broke, and had to fix.
The background was pissed.
Yeah. But, however, the ferret wants to be a Johnny Clayton again. I like it.
Just want to play darts.
And I'm a bit torn on Johnny right now. Because part of me thinks he could do with a schedule where it's not as intense this year. And that probably means no Premier League. But at the same time, compared to the other names that are in contention for it, Johnny's 48. I'm not sure he's going to get many more chances at the Premier League.
Yeah.
And after winning the league phase last year, which has only been done by an absolute handful of players, by the way, in arguably the most difficult format to ever win the league phase as well, because you had to win multiple games every single night to be in contention. I think that deserves some recognition for another crack at it this year.
50% of the finals, was it, last year?
50% of the finals, yeah.
It's ridiculous. Ridiculous in that
He
format.
won a quarter of nights and was in 50% of the finals, yeah. I think he was beaten in the first round like twice in 16 weeks. By contrast, Gary made it to the second round twice, and one of them he won the night outright.
Right. We're now going to do this one because there are some talking points of this one. Bobby Cross.
I think for me, seriously, I've enjoyed my family time for the last year. I am where I am. I'm enjoying my darts more away from it. I'm not going to lie. If the invitation comes in, probably the only people maybe change my mind would be me sponsorship. But for me, I'm happy where I am at the minute and not getting away from that. No answer, because I can't do that right now. It's unfair on everything and stuff like that. But I'm really happy where I am. I think I'm going to have a great year this year, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to see my little Bobby grow, a little bit more in a year. But look, we are where we are, and Premier League for me, I'm not in. Whether they pick 7, whether they pick 4, whatever, I'm not even in the conversation. I'm not bothered, and I'm just enjoying it. I'm enjoying going out, playing darts, and just treating the way it is. If we all talk about financials, last year I never had it. I got by. I still lived. I still had a decent living, I might add. But apart from that, I'm enjoying the game. I'm enjoying where I am, and all I want to do is go out and put a performance in every single week. It's not about all the other stuff. But I'm very grateful for this. Very grateful.
So in that same interview, he also labelled the Masters a stupid tournament. Completely wrote himself off from the Premier League. And look, whether you believe you're in the conversation or you're not, they haven't announced that lineup yet. So surely you just play the game.
But there's also the aspect that he's spent half the year, 9 months of the last year, telling us that he doesn't want to be in it anyway. So there's no point playing the game if actually one little comment here, if you were sneaking back into the conversation, keeps you out of it, because then you don't have the choice to make where you're going to upset sponsors and people that back you. If you talk yourself out of it before you're even in it, you don't have to turn it down and say, sorry, guys, no, I'm not doing this. You don't have to have that conversation. I like it.
Yeah. But the interesting bit for me there, boys, here was because I asked him, obviously I didn't put my question in there, but it was, look, where you are in the rankings and what you've done, if the invitation comes, would you accept it? Because he'd obviously openly said that he wouldn't. And it was like, if it's there, would you accept it? And it was interesting that he said that it's only my sponsorship that may change my mind.
Which I believe, I 100% believe. And I think that's frustration from 12 months ago, from winning the European Championships and not being picked. That is just solely out of frustration for not being picked. But actually, in hindsight, I've made a good point for a change about Johnny Clayton and in his age around the Premier League, and that if he misses out, then it's very hard for someone to get back in once they're approaching sort of that 50 mark and beyond. Rob Frost is 32. The last thing you want to be doing at the age of 32, if you're going to play professional darts for the next 20, 25 years, is taught yourself out of ever playing in the Premier League, because trust me, you want to be in there if you're going to be a sportsman for that long. It's just feeling a bit bitter from what happened 12 months ago. I honestly think that's what it is. If he's then picked, then I think he'll be playing in it. I didn't expect to see him in a World Series event. I know we spoke before about he wouldn't play in any non-ranking event, and then we've now seen him picked for the World Series. The fact is in that. Is that saying that his sponsors told him to play in that? If that's the case, he's going to be in the Premier League. Then if he's picked, it's going to be exactly the same situation. So
I'm with you there. I think it's purely down to pressure from sponsorship. That if it was down to Rob, he wouldn't even have done these. But I think there's been pressure to play.
I think part of the reason that Rob Frost had such a successful year last year, in regards to his now number 6 in the world, following on from the European Championships, is that motivation of I wasn't picked, and that drove him on to a position where probably some people were saying, because he's already won the World Championship, his levels dropped significantly and didn't expect him back into that. That extra motivation could push him again, but he's certainly in contention, and for me, should be talking his chances up, not playing them down.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, because now, having said that, it's an easy one that they just go, no, you're not in. If it's between, I know it's not down to be, but if it was between sort of him and Luke Humphries, someone who's constantly gone on about the Premier League, made it his aim to be there, and I've mentioned him once already. Someone like Nathan Aspinall as well, who's mentioned, the drive to be in the Premier League. Nathan was talking about it back in Blackpool. If you've got a decision to make between those sort of players and then Rob Frost, you're going to put the players in who are hyping up that Premier League opportunity. What is in the background? What is in the background? Yeah. I'm going to bring him straight on. This is genius, and I love this. Welcome to episode 100, Mr. Matthew Edgar. Prime time Edgar TV. How are we doing?
All good, thanks. All good, and just chilling in bed.
Nice, big fan.
The show, thought pop in, say hi.
I saw your top without the blue on it, and I thought it was your quilt. I'm not going to lie. I thought you was actually tucked up in bed. It wasn't just your t-shirt.
No, I'm in bed. I kind of need to make sure I've got to be careful, because I'm only wearing clothes on the top half, just so I can't move around too much. But we should be okay, because where the camera's positioned.
It's all right. Gary Anderson done exactly the same about an hour ago, so it's both our
But he didn't speak about the 170 finish I beat him with, did he?
No,
that didn't take long. Get rid of him.
But interesting. I don't know if you saw any of Gary's part. The fact he was actually practicing whilst talking to us is a huge thing. Mr. Searle was there.
Unusual, isn't it, for Gary? How long it lasts, I don't know. You know what Gary's like. He's sort of on and off all the time, isn't he? So, but sometimes when he gets his back up, it sort of does him good, doesn't it? So he's probably in that sort of position at the moment.
Yeah. First of all, been a while since we caught up. Going to get your take on the end of the World Championships and into January with the 2 World Series events. Fan or not a fan?
Not a fan. I think it's putting too much on the calendar already, and things that aren't ranked events as well. And then we're going straight into the Masters as well. There's just too much non-ranked events for me, and we need to get a bit more ranked darts back on the go.
Is this Matt Edgar or Ronnie O'Sullivan?
Yeah, no, look, I'm with you. And we were chatting this the other day. Is there now a case that going forward, say these 2 World Series events in January are a permanent fixture, is there then a case to increase the Masters to the top 32 and rank it to give the calendar some balance?
I think top 32 and ranking it just makes the rich richer. I think if you're going to do that, you've got to have some way of putting the 1-year ranking system involved as well, whether that's the top 8 or the top 16 from the 1-year ranking system that go in that event. But I don't think you could just go top 32 on the 2-year, or else those players in that position are just going to get even stronger, and we're not going to see any movement in the rankings.
No, fair point. This one's coming, and we're going to ask it because I know it's one of your favourite subjects. Can we get Matt's thoughts on the Challenge Tour length of days? Because they were quite long this weekend.
The good thing is now I'm kind of not a member anymore, so I can say what I want to say. I think the whole system's wrong. I was going to use the word pathetic, but I thought I'd best not.
Stupid. We use stupid here.
I agree. The idea is that there's so much wrong with it. The Challenge Tour is meant to be a secondary tour of the PDC, and it's not. I used the term the other day, a waste ground of darts, because, I mean, the thing I always look at, and this is my expression I always use with this, 850 players signed up to Q School this year. That pool of players we then used to get, for 4 days, we gave out 27 cards over 4 days. You're going to use that same pool of players for a whole year, and you're going to give out 2. Makes no sense.
Whilst earning a shed load of cash off them, by the way.
Yeah.
Between Q School and the first Challenge Tour weekend, the PDC brought in £500,000.
A couple of things first of all to do. First of all, in my ideal world, the Challenge Tour would be 128 players. I don't think we're going to get to that area, but if you can't get through stage 1 at Q School, you're not eligible for the Challenge Tour in my books. It should be for the people who get through to stage 2 of Q School, they're the players that are eligible for the Challenge Tour. We've got to remember what the PDC stands for. It's in the title, Professional Darts Corporation. The players that are there averaging 60, making people sit there till 10 o'clock at night from 10 o'clock in the morning, don't fit in with that category of Professional Darts Corporation. And they just need to go back to the roots and back to the naming of their own brand.
Yeah, no, I'm completely with you. World final, one of the greatest moments the sport has ever seen. That leg will forever live in the history of the game.
Oh, and not just the 2 players on stage, add Wayne Mardle into that moment.
Yeah.
Take Wayne Mardle, watch that on mute, and it's not as big of a moment as it was at the time. I say this about, I'm going to chuck wrestling in, of course I am, I've been on for 3 minutes. The Rock versus Hulk Hogan, watch that match on mute. It's nothing. The crowd make that match. Wayne Mardle made that moment.
However, whilst we're on that subject, me and Matt are both very excited tonight, and are you staying up to watch Raw 30?
I'm buying into the fact that he's not going to be there.
Oh, don't. It's the hope that kills us.
They've hooked me into the fact that he's not going to be there, and the fact they've changed the bloodline now to a Sami Zayn court. I think that's brought me in. I can see a few heads being shaken there.
Save this for Nico tomorrow on the Super Series, mate. We don't need this now.
I never thought I'd say this when we're talking about wrestling, but this is a dart show, not wrestling. We only normally use it about football when Man United have lost. I'm out.
One that's come up quite a lot, and I know you and I spoke about this pre it happening, Matt. Corey Cadby is back on the tour, and the levels he produced, I wasn't expecting that from a man that's been away from professional darts for the best part of 3.5 years.
I was. When I did my predictions for the Q schools, he was top of my list. And for me, and I say this all the time, I've always got to clarify, first of all, that I mean this out of the most respect. He is the biggest disappointment and failure in darts. because for me, he should have been a world champion by now. He's got that level of ability. He should have been a world champion, if not a major champion. And the fact that he's at Q School in 2023 is not good enough. It's terrible in terms of, but we know he's had all the different problems and things that have gone on. And hopefully this is the start in terms of his darting ability that's going to put him to where he should be for the ability that he's got.
Yeah, no, look, I'm so excited to see him back on tour. Just breath of fresh air, really am. Couple in there for you, Matt, as well. I'll let the boys ask some questions in a minute as well. What are your plans for the year competitively?
Very limited, actually. So anyone who's seen our interview that we did, along with other bits that I've been saying, I've been struggling for quite some time with injury. And I've just let it run, and I'm now starting to put that right. But the healing time is taking longer than I thought. And the issues that's causing in terms of not being able to practice as much, it makes such a difference. I literally had about half an hour downstairs earlier on today, and I can already feel I'm not the player that I was. And one thing I've always liked is that confidence that I can go and win. I can go do it. Just because I haven't done it doesn't mean I'm not going to do it. I believe that it was going to happen. And right now, I don't know if I do. So while I'm in that position where I don't trust in myself, it's not going to be happening anytime soon. I'm certainly going to carry on with the exhibitions. I'm hopefully going to go off and do some tours this year, play some WDF events. And if possible, if I do heal in time to the point where I think I can take on a more full-time schedule, then I'd like to give Lakeside a bash and have a go at getting into that.
No seniors yet?
I get... Well, hang on. So I'm trying to preposition this so I don't give too much away. That's what I'm trying. Yeah, I get asked that in the chat, and I'm like, I'm 36.
No, I said the same to Webby, and he's still the right side of 40 as well.
I think sometimes with it as well, when players have been around for quite a while, I've been around now for 12 years or so on the professional circuit. I think sometimes people think you're older than you are. Like when you look at people like Van Gerwen at 33 or, James Wade, Adrian Lewis are not even 40 years old, but they've been around playing darts for about 50.
It is mad. I was looking at Van Gerwen's number of world championships he's played in already and trying to chase Taylor. I mean, he's probably got to win every single one for the next 13 in a row to catch him, but it won't be far off if he plays that many.
Yeah, and he's got, from when he started, when he was 17, he first won the World Masters.
Yeah.
You look at like what he could do. He could set records that could never be broken.
You'll like this comment, Matt.
She spelled my name wrong. See, that's the thing. During lockdown and everything, when like Edgar TV was first coming through and I was doing all bits, I did have a program called In Bed with Edgar. And what better way to commemorate your 100 episodes than bringing it back literally and being in bed with me on the show.
Big fan.
I couldn't think of a better way to reignite that series, Matt.
What you said about playing in some WDF events as well, Matt. How impressed have you been with the ADC and how that's all come together in the last 9 months?
Massively, but it needs a payoff. It needs something. It needs something it's working towards. It needs something big. And I think that's the next stage. Obviously, they was going to do the World Open, wasn't they, last year? And that sort of didn't happen. I think getting that going and getting that put forward and having that streamed or broadcasted, that is essential now for the next stage of the ADC.
You mentioned there as well, Matt, obviously the event, when you're looking to play competitive then and the aim is late side, there's a change to the WDF with the rantings and the 2-year ranting system. Your thoughts just on the changes to the WDF and the World Championships being in December instead of the normal slot of after the PDC World Championships?
Honestly, I haven't got a clue what those changes are. And it's not because I haven't tried to figure them out, and it's not because I haven't contacted 3 different people within that WDF system. I'm just not getting the answers. And I don't know. And that's one of the things, if the only thing, that sort of puts me off going and doing that, because I don't know how to qualify for Lakeside. But yet I want to go and qualify for it, but I don't know how to do it. Is the ranking system of last year, is that made up the players for this year, or do they have to go and do another year? And am I doing 1 year against their 2 years? I don't know.
So what I can gather, it's a bit of both. They did an update the other day on players that were now confirmed their spots, and even that post on social media underneath was players not knowing where they quite stand with it. But it just needs that little bit more clarity, doesn't it?
So I guess I'll reword the question to one thing we do all know. The World Championships of the WDF now being pre-PDC instead of post-PDC. Do you think that's a good move, or are you not?
I think they'd be better off having their own individual slot. I see why they've done it. It's an end of year sort of activity. Also, just as their old slot where it comes after the PDC, I think that was suicide really for what they was trying to do, because everyone's just seen the best of the best, and then you get, if we are going to rank it, we're going to say it is the secondary system. You don't put that on afterwards. You need to go before, and going in that slot sort of between Minehead and the World Championship when that buzz is starting to generate, I think could be a genius move.
I think it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out in terms of, can they sell tickets that close to a PDC World Championship?
That's the big question they've got. If I was running this, I would say Easter. That is when I would be running this event, because you've got the bank holidays. You've got, traditionally, there's not a lot of the PDC do a Euro tour around Easter, don't they? Normally, traditionally,
it's
but there's not much competition for things. You're just coming out of the back of the Premier League as well, so you've got that casual interest. I think Easter would be their ideal go-to location, but I can see why they're going for what they're going for here.
There's one here that I think Johnny might know this. I hope we're after 9 o'clock. It's fine. Ask Matt about his favourite Q School story. It's very funny.
It actually involved Johnny himself, actually. So you know what Q School's like. You can imagine hundreds and hundreds of players, and they've got the queue for the bar, and everyone's lined up, and it was a massive long queue. But on the food counter, there wasn't too much of a queue on there. So what people was doing was they're getting a drink, then going to the food counter, getting the food, and going back to the table. Johnny saw a little gap in the market here, and he went to the food counter, got his roll, and stood in the queue whilst eating his roll. And I just thought that was genius use of time. I was really impressed. That's the sort of thing that really stands out. I mean, I can't remember who went through Q School that year, but I can remember Johnny getting a bacon roll.
It doesn't paint dart players in the brightest light, does it?
I've just made bacon, I meant salad.
Few specials at Q-Stall. Few Dimmy specials.
A few Dimmy specials. Oh my god. We haven't spoken about this yet. However, we will do, but I want to get your opinion on it. What 4 are you picking to take those 4 Premier League spots?
Okay. One that I think is nailed on is Luke Humphries. Can't see past it. World number 5, big runs. He's young. He ticks all the boxes. So Luke Humphries will be one of them. I think Nathan Aspinall. He's got a nice story in terms of what his year has done and those 2 major finals. So I think he goes in. I think the other 2 spots are wide open. If I had to pick, I'd probably put Joe Cullen in on the back of getting to the final of last year's and being just a dart away from winning it. Last spot, it could be any one of about 6 players. I do fear that, and I say fear because it's something I don't agree with, even though I'm going to say it, that it could be Clemens.
Are you trying to say that the PDC are going to cash in on huge German TV rights?
I've never known them cash in on things like that before. I don't know where you'd get that impression from.
Let's just go back to a point you made earlier. You no longer remember. So do you think that they
Yeah, I think he could pretend. I think he's more in the running than you'd probably think.
To be fair, I think I said to Gob earlier, I'm not so sure if there's a huge surprise coming or something up their sleeve, because normally by this time we've got wind of bits and bobs and X and Y. It is radio silence to the point of there is nothing around, like nothing.
Is that a sign of, though, that they don't even know the answer to this, and that they've probably got the same dilemma we have, that when we're looking at this, we're talking about 6 players for 2 or 3 spaces?
I genuinely think there's 14 names that got a claim to a Premier League spot this year for 8 spots.
It's dangerous.
Including the top 4. And at that point, I just think you've got the best top-level talent we've had in terms of depth in a long, long time. In previous years, you can make an argument for, all right, these players are 9, 10 and 11. 14 names at least. And that 14 doesn't include your likes of James Wade and Gary Anderson, who will still put bombs on seats for 8 weeks, whatever. You've got arguably one of the best marketing teams in sport and what you've done for the sport. Get creative. I don't care how many times you push the graphic saying, who are your 8? Just do something revolutionary. You dropped contenders on us with 4 days' notice because of a back injury. Just don't be afraid to push boundaries. We're constantly being told that last year was really successful in sticking around, yet the feedback was, if you're there on the night, it was good. If you're watching from home, it was boring after 3 to 4 weeks. I think the numbers were inflated post-COVID return to sport and that desire to just watch from home. And they've basically gone, oh, the numbers are really good. It must have worked. We're sticking with it. And I'm not so sure that's the general feeling across fans.
Yep, I'd agree. But I'd also suggest, though, that the Premier League, like the World Championship, has 2 different pools of fans. We've got darts fans like ourselves and people that are going to come in and sit and have a chat with us tonight. We've also got the casual audience who will traditionally attend this sort of event, who I did a feature for Sky where I went along to the Premier League. It was when COVID had just finished. They got me to go and interview the crowd to ask them questions. And the amount of people that we'd go up to and would go, oh, nice to see you. Darts is back. Do you want to come over and answer some questions? If you get them right, you win free tickets to the Masters. The amount of people that went, mate, I hadn't got a clue about darts. But they was going into the event. It was that hard to find people that could answer the questions that at one point we had to give them the answers in between me asking the questions. So I'd ask the question, we'd give them the answer, and then we'd film them answering the questions because we couldn't find enough people to make a 3-minute feature on of people who went to the darts who could answer questions such as, who are the previous Premier League champions? And that was probably the trickiest question we asked, and they didn't have a clue.
That's genius. That is absolutely genius.
Tragic. It's tragic. It's a sad state.
But yeah,
there aren't many that would rock up to watch Man United tomorrow that don't know anything about Man United.
Yeah, there is. There's one there. Hey!
That's Wednesday, but he's coming to Nottingham.
Speaking of Wednesday, does anyone here know why Sheffield Wednesday are called Sheffield Wednesday?
No.
Is this a you and Henry Tungsten teaser?
I can tell you the reason if you want to know. If anyone knows why Sheffield Wednesday are called Sheffield Wednesday?
Go on, Em.
Because they're from Sheffield. It's obvious. Like,
did you pull that out of Christmas Tracker?
Yeah. You spent too much time in Portsmouth, and you've got another 4 days of Paul Nicholson to come.
I literally might as well just live here now.
It's a nice
I might
house.
as well move in.
However, on the Super Series, how good is this week? John Henderson making his debut, Fallon Sherrock later in the week.
This week's going to be really interesting. I think the group as well that we've got at the moment, we had a chat on air earlier on about what you're going to need to win this group. And normally, like you talk high 20s to win one of these groups. I think this is probably going to be 20, certainly 22 points is going to be enough to win this because this group's just beating each other. The player at the bottom of the league's got 4 points. It's going to be a really, really good group. And well, John Henderson's only won 2 games and he came into this massive bookies favourite. So that's an eye opener. And I'm really interested to see Fallon this week because in 2022, her standard wasn't good enough, really, was it? For what we'd expect of Fallon, she was well off the pace. But then when we look at her at Q School and the Challenge Tour, her level is picked right up. It's like a new start for her in this new season. It's going to be interesting to see how she handles it down here as well. And I know Nicholson said he wouldn't be surprised if she wins the week.
I can see that as well. I really can.
Even the world's performance against Ricky Evans was so much better than what we saw from her in that last Women's Series block and those World Series events as well, where she struggled a little bit this year. The improvement to then take on Ricky at Ali Pali and since has been massive. It's like she's knuckled down a bit, got on the practice board like our good friend Mr. Gary Anderson.
It's not even like she was losing to the top players on those World Series. She was losing to the locals who was throwing like 75 averages and things against her. It's not what we expected from her. And yeah, like I said, certainly must have done something, knuckled down or done something right along the way. And I'm guessing this is someone who I've spoken to or has come into one of my streams recently when says, will the ratings go up? Because actually, one of the interesting points was someone said about, Fallon will be in this or in the Premier League, she should put bums on seats. And I literally chucked out the possibility. I said, right, does she put bums on seats or is that what we're told? I says, because at the moment, I've seen no translation to when she plays to when she doesn't play, an increase in ticket sales. And I used the example of the Grand Slam of Darts, where she played in the Grand Slam of Darts, I think it was a Monday or a Tuesday night, and the arena was half empty and the other half was free tickets given to the JDC. And there must have only been about 10 paying customers in there in the entire night. And I says, for me, I want to see if that actually does translate across or if it doesn't. And ever since, every time now, someone pops up, every time Fallon comes up, I'm like, oh, will the ratings move? So
I don't know about tickets, but certainly from our point of view and the Super Series, because obviously I see the analytical side of that. When she played last year, every time she played, the spike was unreal, people watching. And the same for our Q School coverage. Every time we put her as feature game, numbers doubled.
Yeah.
We sat around 400 or 500 people for most of the week when it was quiet. Anywhere between 3 to 6 was like your big range. Fallon's run to
last 16.
Find that right? Last 16 on one of the days?
Yeah.
Put just under 1,000. She nearly doubled our views.
Nice.
So, yeah, in terms of tickets, I don't know. But in terms of digital numbers, anything that has her name on it, picture on it, her talking, for us and certainly Super Series, goes through the roof. But, Matt, absolute pleasure to have you on, as always. I will see you tomorrow as well.
Oh, nice.
Fully dressed, I hope.
Hopefully we'll be able to have a nice talk about potentially The Rock coming out.
Potentially The Rock going to the Rumble and WrestleMania.
Hopefully, yeah.
You laugh. If The Rock is going to WrestleMania, we're both looking at flights.
Oh, that's what we'll be doing tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
we get to cover a darts event at that point? Where are you sending me instead?
If there's a darts event on while WrestleMania's on, yeah, you two are going.
Make sure everyone tunes into the Super Series tomorrow. You're in for a whole lot of fun by the sounds of it.
Matt, absolute pleasure to have you on, mate, as always, and thank you very much for your time.
No problems. Love doing it. Have a good one, guys.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, mate.
Mr. Matthew Edgar, everyone, thank you very, very much. Some very good points in there, that is for sure. See, look, Dan's in as well.
You can't take Dan Pellegrino to America. They're not classy enough for him.
Right, we have got a Masters to take a look at as well. I'll tell you what, we're going to be deep in Fergie time tonight. That is for sure. So, the first proper action of the 2023 season gets underway this weekend in Milton Keynes as the top 24 in the world battle it out for the Kazoo Masters. First of all, boys, looking forward to it or really can't be asked?
Oh, can't be asked.
Looking forward to it more than I normally am, because normally it's me warming back up to watching darts then. However, we've just had 2 World Series that have done that, so I'm ready for a TV tournament with a bit more of a meaning than a World Series event. I say a bit more. It's probably just a little bit more with it being the Masters. The element I'm probably looking forward to is those names that sort of are on the edge of the Premier League to see how they perform. Because a few of them have very, very tough draws, even if they get to the second round.
Providing we don't get an announcement before Thursday.
Yeah, I don't think we will.
I think we'd have had one today. If they are going to announce it this week, I think it would have been today.
Maybe.
We
were convinced it was coming before the Masters, and we're still not sure that the outcome is going to dictate that. And at that point, what's the point in delaying?
If it's coming now before the Masters, what have they been mulling over for the past few weeks? Surely they've not been looking at World Series performances to decide a Premier League. If there's something to mull over now, it's either got to be the fact that there was looking at a World Series performance, or it's how much money Germany TV pumps into it. That can be the only 2 reasons, because other than that, there's no reason why you wouldn't have announced it a day or 2 after the World Championships.
I'm still not even sure that the winner of the Masters would be guaranteed a spot.
Which is stupid, because they've effectively set a precedent for the last 2 years, saying that if you're not in at that point, winning this gets you. That is the only thing that has made this tournament relevant. And we said that when they stumbled across it 2 years ago, and we said it last year when it played out that way. Other than that, this used to be a warm-up tournament for the top 16 that we'd seen 3 weeks before. That's way too soon to be seeing them on TV again. And half of them you should turn up with different equipment and piss around. The other half were James Wade and Mervyn King kicking off in one of the worst finals you've ever seen in your life. And if the winner of this doesn't get a spot, what's the point in delaying? Because at that point, all you do you remember? Look, if the winner of this doesn't get a spot, do you remember when they held the Fallon announcement?
Yeah.
Or the Women's World Championship announcement? All they do is dig themselves a bigger hole, because you've already got to deal with the fact that, all right, Rob Cross missed out last year, but you've got another 2 major champions looking set to miss out this year. If you get somebody else come through the field that you are not expecting, if Ratajski goes on to win the Masters, they'll have 3 major title winners at that point, not in this year's Premier League.
And Dob, I would even though it's if I'd say it's an even bigger hole than the Fallon one announcement, because at least there's a knock-on effect to that years on years that we're going to have 3 women competing at the World Championships, which is the positive. You're not going to have that with his Premier League announcement, because it's very much a short-term pick. So for me, it's probably worse than it'd be less worse on social media because of the name, but actually for me, it would be a worse decision.
Yeah,
I'm just in my opinion. I might be completely off with this. I think only Ross Smith, Clemens, or Noppy winning would get them in. I think anyone else winning the Masters that's not currently already in the equation, it doesn't make any difference.
I think there's another 3 in that conversation.
I think there's others who can.
Well, we're saying that aren't quite in the conversation right now. Anyway, Ross Smith borderline, Noppy borderline, and Clemens borderline. I think if Gary Anderson rocks up and wins the Masters, you have to consider it because he's Gary Anderson. Whether that drive and desire will still be there after 12 weeks is a completely different matter. But Gary Anderson is one of the best players to ever play the game. And that's not just because he's been on tonight. If he wins the Masters, you seriously have to consider Gary Anderson going into the Premier League. Because the fans still love him. You go to Scotland twice and whatever else. I think if Dirk van Dijvenbode proves that he can win a tournament by beating Ratajski, Price, Humphreys or Cullen, who are both in the conversation for that spot, possibly going through the world champion or Noppert, who's in contention as well, and then Peter Wright, Michael Van Gerwen, whoever on the opposite side of the draw, you have to consider him.
I think there's one other name you'd have to consider if he picks up his first title, and that would be Dave Chisnell. Dave Chisnell does and wins on his first TV title after so long that being a conversation. For me, he puts himself in the mix, and he's not one of the probably 14 now we're talking about. But
he's in my 14. Form-wise last year, I thought he was fantastic. He just didn't convert it into anything.
If he picks up a TV title after all the speak about that, it's a bit like, it's similar to the taunt of Michael Smith, isn't it, before he won a TV title? It's that sort of conversation that's been had.
Johnny's first individual TV title was the Masters, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He won the World Cup with Gezi, but his first individual title at that point, wasn't Joe's the same? A couple of Euro tours, maybe?
Yeah.
So at that point, this would be exactly the same story repeating itself 3 years on the spin. They'd be very, very fortunate if it did play out that way.
Depending on who it was, I think they might be unfortunate because I think there's a few names they don't want to see in that final on Sunday night.
Well, this is the other bit.
I'm so here for a Ratajski James Wade final.
Right? Could you imagine, like, either from the bottom half, it's either Rob Cross gets to the final or James Wade, right? One, how can you justify putting Cross in after he's absolutely slated it and say he doesn't want to be in there?
Can't.
Let's be fair.
I genuinely think he's done that deliberately. I genuinely think he's publicly talked himself out of the conversation so that he doesn't have to make the decision if he was offered it.
By the sounds of things, he wouldn't make the decision. Decision's made for him.
Or
I don't think he wants to make that decision. That's the point. I genuinely think if he talks himself out of it, that decision, that conversation doesn't need to be had.
All of a sudden, say we get to the quarterfinals on Sunday and it's not looking good, do they rush an announcement?
At that point, if your quarterfinalists are going to turn around and go, nah, sod you.
I don't think that they made a mid-tournament announcement due to the broadcaster for the weekend being a different broadcaster for the Thursday. One player you can sort of get away with, naming all 8 during a broadcast with a different company. I just don't think they would do.
No.
It'll be Monday morning, maybe late Sunday.
Or a Thursday trip to Belfast.
The players would know before that, won't they?
Yeah, because remember, Joe was told during his interview with the DARTS show with Michael Bridge after he won last year, he was in.
There's still 4 days to turn around what will be a flight for every single person.
But out of probably 9 or 10 of them believe they're already in now. A lot of them are prepared.
How many of them have actually got flights booked? Not many, surely. That'd be pretty brazen to have a flight booked to Belfast just in case you get picked.
It'd be like an hour a month move of Tewstall.
Yeah, I'm winning today. I've checked out my hotel. Right, let's go through the action. We're going to go through the names. Chat room, get involved in this as well. And if you haven't yet, make sure you drop us a like. Can you get us to 100 likes before the end of the show? First up, I just want names. Hetter or Smith? Smith. Aspinall or Bunting?
Bring back the PDC.
What?
Bunting.
Asp.
Bunting. Ratajski, Van Dijvenbode.
I'll fall to sleep. Ratajski. I don't know what to do for the Polish Eagle.
Dirk. Cullen or Dovey?
Keep Dan Simpson's dream alive, twist Dalby.
Cullen.
Dovey. Searle or Chisnell?
Chizzy.
Last leg, so.
So, Wade or Rids?
Scared he's in the chat room. Wade.
Wade's not in. Rids.
Wade. De Souza or Clemens?
Van Gerwen. It don't matter.
11 lead decider, Jose.
I'm going Jose as well, you know.
Clemens.
And then they're still going to get that Sport 1 contract through the day after and put him in.
Jose shows he's got a bit of bottle about him.
Vandenberg or Anderson?
Gary.
Have to tonight. He's
Gary.
practicing, for God's sake.
And then you get a conversation with him and he rips him a new one.
Right. So, from there, I would like your semi-finalists, please, everyone.
If Gary Anderson wins on Friday and you then interview with him, the first 2 minutes of that interview, can you put the first 2 minutes of him coming on the stream when he's talking about his betting? 2 minutes is being generous as well. There's more about 4 or 5, but what do you want? Finalist?
Semi-finalists.
Christ, I'm boring.
Ready whenever you guys are.
Sound. Smith, Gezi, Johnny, Gando.
Ooh.
Same top half, Smith, Gezi. Completely different bottom half. Chizzy, MVG.
Smith, Price, Clayton, Van Gerwen.
Can we all establish which Smith we're referring to, please? Because
Michael.
Mine's Ross.
Michael.
Yours is Ross.
Yes.
Unlucky. Mine's Michael.
I wasn't expecting you both to follow and go.
I like it.
He's not.
That's mine.
Yeah.
Get off.
I like it.
I forgot we had these on air. Winner and runner-up.
Gezi beats the ferret.
Boise.
I've got Devin Price to win as well. That's why I'm umming and ahhing, because I don't like having the same as Dob. It beats Dave Chisnell in the final after Chizzy beats MVG.
2 multiplied by 10 plus 1. Romeo done.
I knew it was coming.
Yes, Dave.
Because I've got Gezi to win as well.
Ugh.
We have just doomed the Iceman.
What this proves is we don't talk about this before we come on air, because one of us would have definitely changed our mind beforehand.
I'm going to change my mind now then. I'm going Michael Van Gerwen to beat Gezi in the final. Where but I genuinely think that Gezi will beat Michael in the final.
The bit is stuck between the teeth for the Iceman.
So which one are you down for? Because you can't now have both, because then you say, oh, I said this one.
I genuinely think Price wins.
Full house for Price it is.
Yeah, correct, Tommy. We've absolutely jinxed him.
See, Palmer
yes.
wins.
George, we'll come on to that in a minute. But yes, we did.
Part of me thinks there is a cheesy run, but also another part of me is looking forward to a bit of PDC sweating on Sunday night that you've got someone in the final who's not in the mix.
Right, could you imagine going into that break? The semi-final lineup is Danny Noppert against Christoph Ratajski, James Wade against Gary Anderson.
Please.
There's already probably a nervousness if it's Ross Smith versus Danny Noppert in the quarterfinal. Whatever's happening across the rest of the draw, if them two are playing each other in the quarterfinal, they know on Sunday night that there's a potential that one of them are lifting that trophy.
Right, off the back of this, now that we've done this, I would like chat rooms. We did it to Matt. We'll do it to you two as well. I would like your other 4 Premier League participants. Because I think by the time we sit down next week, we'll know the lineup.
But if not, are we doing this 8 then? So I feel like I've changed my 8 every week.
Well, the top 4 we know are in. So, Smith, MVG, Wright and Price are in. We know that. I would like the other 4 names that you think will be in the Premier League.
I think we'll be.
Humphreys, Ross Smith, Vandenberg, and Aspinall from, yeah. Dan, who do you think? Because again, my who I'd want and who I'd think are completely different. Now, who do you think will be in?
Yeah, who I want is Toritad being Fallon. However, who I think the different. Have you got your 8, Dob?
No. I'm sat here pissing around, to be fair. I'm like, what stupid shit could I say at 9:45 at night?
I've got 7.
You best find another one then.
Do I need to? Or can I put the rest in as contenders who I'm choosing between?
Could you imagine 16 contenders? 7 in, 16 contenders, 23 players. Please. Or 8 contenders and everybody plays twice.
Stop stalling. I would like 4 names.
Will you give us 4 names then?
Okay. I am going for Luke Humphreys, Dimitri Vandenberg, Nathan Aspinall, Johnny Clayton.
No.
I thought Joe Cullen, but I think Johnny getting the warm-up gigs gets him in.
And being 5 places higher ranked than him and smashing the league phase last year. Yes, Rob. Dan Pellegrino, Tungsten Top, Barzi and boys.
Anyway, 4 names.
After you, Lee.
Luke Humphreys, Nathan Aspinall, Joe Cullen, Johnny Clayton. Over to you, mate.
I'll pass. Luke Humphreys, Johnny Clayton. What?
The one he put up before that one.
Bad man. Humphreys, Cullen, Clayton, Ross Smith. That's fun. Some 180s.
It's interesting.
Now, can I tell you who I would pick?
Yeah. Now, if you had free reign, who would you put in?
James Wade, Mervyn King, Corey Cadby, Kim Hybrex.
No.
It'll be like, oh, bugger, who's on their period this week?
Boys, if you could pick the other four, then who would you want?
For me, they've won on TV. So Noppy, Ross Smith. I'd put Luke Humphries. And then it's between Whitlock and Hettert as they won the World Cup. Now I'm joking. Then it would be Nathan Aspinall.
If I could pick four, Josh Rock, Corey Cadby, Fallon Sherrock, Gary Anderson.
What about now realistic four?
You said if you could pick who you wanted, that would be the four I want. Could you imagine the media?
Yeah, but then you might as well chuck Taylor and Barney back in.
From a media point of view, I could have Barney back in.
Yeah, but if you're doing for a media, you'd do probably Taylor, Barney, Fallon, and Cadby.
Yeah, but I've gone with the players that are playing at least where Taylor's
Barney?
not.
Barney.
If you're going that way, I'd probably go Barney over Josh Rock then. But from a media point of view, that would be an absolute dream.
What would have happened if Barney would have won the World Series in Bahrain? Would it have been in contention?
No. No. Right, a week in darts. We will address it. There was a lot of talk around Callum Goffin. Would he be eligible to play? Got away with a suspended sentence and some community service. So he will be able to play on tour this year.
From how we understood it before and last week, that was always the most likely outcome. I think the maximum sentence that what he was charged with carried 2 years as a custodial, so expected, not ideal, I think, in terms of media attention and just having a person that has done that on tour for the 2 years, but there's nothing the PDC can or will do about it at that point.
No.
From a Q stall perspective, when you've got someone in who's now got a criminal record, and then you've got someone else in who someone started a petition against, it's not great.
Hang on, two criminal records and a petition against a fraudster.
Yeah, it's not great for the sport. However, on the board, they've done the talking, haven't they? And got the card. So
all I will say, there is other high-profile players that have records that have nothing was ever done about it. So
yeah,
it's one of those ones. It's like nothing will come of it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jody. 18 more likes to get us to 100 on show 100. Also, a week in darts. What else have we missed?
So I know we alluded to Luke Littler qualifying for the UK Open, but we also add Jim Mostyn, and there's another name that's eluding me. Stuart White, who's qualified a few times before. Stuart White was also with the first three into the UK Open. Qualifies as 4 more tournaments this weekend, I believe. And then in Romania, we had the Romanian Classic and the Romanian Open, which was won. The Classic was won by Darius Stone, and the women's was won by Bode Reeves, and then the Romanian Open was won by Laszlo Tadar, probably pronounced that wrong, and the women's was won by Bode Reeves, who then went on and won 3 by winning the doubles. And we also had a silver event in Las Vegas with Chris Lim.
Paul Lim, I saw Paul Lim's son won it, yeah.
Yeah, Chris Lim went on and won that, and Paula Murphy went on and won the women's event. But yeah, so time for Chris Lim. Now we've saw an awful lot of Paul Lim.
Yeah. The Challenge Tour, we spoke about it earlier. The system needs to change. It's not an ability test. It's a stamina test now.
Yeah. I'm surprised at this point we haven't heard some more French from Dob looking at the top of the rankings.
Allez les bleus. That was almost as bad as some of my Q-School pronunciations, to be fair.
Interesting. I like that. Cheers, Niall. One for us to look out for. No, I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but in Irish, is that pronounced Aoife?
Yeah.
I think so. I think it is, because one of my really good mates, his family's Irish, and they've called their daughter Neve, and it's spelt the Irish way. That's kind of how I know some of the Irish sayings. I think that's Aoife.
Neve in Irish is just somebody threw some alphabetic spaghetti on a plate, and that's what they come up with.
Isn't that the majority of the Welsh language? No, I'm only joking. For anyone who's listening. Say it back.
Cheers, everyone. Right, show 100. Question time is in. And whilst they get questions in, boys, have we missed anything?
Seniors is edging closer. Did we have any names?
Seniors this weekend, yeah. Jesus.
Come on, Dob. You got one job. Literally one job.
5 spots still up for grabs. So 2 outright qualifiers, 2 on the order of merit, and then 1 more on the money list behind Richie Howson. So that should be an interesting battle. Entries closed Thursday night. Friday Open Series, which is ranked, and then Saturday, Sunday qualifiers. Draw live on Sunday night as well.
Are you doing the draw, Gob?
Am I doing the draw? No.
Yeah.
I was offered to host it. They're like, oh, do we fancy putting a suit on? I was like, I haven't got one that fits. so we'll let Jason Francis do that instead.
Whilst you do this, I'm going to answer this because you two won't. I am going for, and I've actually, don't shake your head at me, Boise. Cody Rhodes wins the men's, Becky Lynch wins the women's.
That's enough of that one.
Better. Bye-bye.
Yeah, yourself.
Yeah, look who's got controls now.
I prefer this software. You don't mute someone, you just throw them out.
Just get rid of them. That's a boot. Put them at the bottom.
Chris, we would throw you out earlier, but you made that brilliant Premier League prediction that made me laugh, so you can stay in. You can stay. Phil, you're out.
I've got a question. Considering this is show 100, what's been your favourite moment so far?
Oh. There's been loads.
I'm not sure even I've got one now that I've asked that question. I probably should have had one in the chamber ready, but...
So I'll be a live lounge 100, hasn't it, as well?
Yeah.
See, the first one that comes to mind on stream is me calling in a 9-darter, which I'd never done before, and I know W probably still haven't.
Both ways, mate.
I can add myself back. It's fine.
I'll definitely get the boot in a minute, aren't I?
For me, one that's up there that does stick in my mind is when I was asked the question about the worst walk-on, and I mentioned Dolby, and within 5 minutes he's messaged him Phill. It's probably one that stands out a little.
I say one of my favourite moments is when I gave God the biggest head fuck ever when we were streaming the women's series and someone messaged me to say they were watching, and it absolutely threw him for the rest of the show.
Yeah. In the air as well. Yeah. That was a streaming moment though.
That was funny.
Who was he?
Fallon checking in how it was going in Germany.
On our way back from the World Series, her and Michael Van Gogh watched our live stream of the women's series for the event that she wasn't playing in.
For what?
Messed me up.
For one of the streams, I was sat in watching you two in a pub with Fallon.
Yeah.
Very weird moment. Yeah, I'd probably have to be the Dolby moment because it still sticks with me. Because he's finally listened to the show. Someone's finally listened to the show and realised I need to change my music.
He just nailed it as well, right? He just got there, and then Kanye decided he was a bit more of a dickhead than he actually is, and playing any of his music is a little bit, you don't want to be associated with that in a minute. So he's had to get rid of it. He had all the rights.
Is that still a thing? Is he still blacklisted?
I don't know. It's not one I want to touch at 3 minutes to 10 on the end of our 100th show. Let's not get cancelled right at the end.
Because I almost did it for today's on Instagram story. That's why.
No. We're still arm's length that one, just in case.
It's the best question you've ever asked, though, Dob. It's not me thinking. What's yours?
I don't know. That's what I mean. I loaded the question thinking it's show 100. We probably should get a little bit sentimental about it.
Oh, one of the funniest ones is when we stitched Jar up and played the Barney alarm on the live lounge. We had it teed up and we'd already planned it.
Yes.
I've still got that sign somewhere around here, the back of a 180 sign that still says Jar Lafitte and Barney Army #1 fan. It's still around here somewhere. I will find it.
To be fair, one of the not surreal, but when they don't always comment in the chat room, but the number of pros that come and tell us they watch the show. And to start with, I was like, yeah, all right, yeah. All right. And then Peter Wright once said something to me. He was like, I really enjoyed the show the other day. And in my head, I'm thinking, yeah, all right. And he said something, and it was the exact quote, and it was the only place we'd ever said it was on the live lounge. And I was like, all right.
Yeah, I've had it a few times. Seniors events throw me off massively.
Yeah.
Champion of Champions was probably the main one for me when it was mentioned a lot.
Yeah.
I think the best moment is just not being cancelled after Barzi opened his mouth earlier in the year, to be fair. We've done it right. There's still enough of you watching right now that we got away with that one.
I'm not normally one to shout out for lights, but we are on 93. We really need to get to 100, or we are going to be staying for 30 time. And you know I never want
that. To be fair, everyone, as well, going forward, look, we're always trying to improve what we do. Obviously, for you guys that watch us every week, whether that's the live lounge or the Q School Women's Series, Pro Tours, or anything, what would you like from us as well? Because obviously, without you guys, we don't do this, and we can come on and we can talk shit with the best of them for a couple of hours. But
nonsense.
But what would you guys like in 2023 as well?
Jamie, not a chance. Not a chance.
Merchandise.
Yes.
First of all, we need to match. We need to be in the same gear, not Boise nicking my hoodie from the first time we worked at a event together. That's mine. That's mine. And my spare shirt. Both of them.
Yeah, no, that we know, and we will get that sorted. But what else would you guys like? That's not happening. We're never not mentioning wrestling again.
We can try.
Wrestling and Oasis should go into room 101. That's what I'm saying.
You can get out now.
Get out.
Slide away. John O'Shea wants it. John, you got a tour card, mate. You're not allowed to have a job with us uncensored. That's how you get fined by the DRA, and we are not paying for that Christmas party.
Yeah, to be fair, we could do alternative red button John O'Shea commentary in the women's series that's behind a paywall where if it gets fined, it don't matter.
We are on 99. Come on, let's hit 100. Before we get banned by putting John O'Shea on uncensored.
A studio set would be lovely, but one, Boise doesn't drive, and two, Barzi lives way too far south for that to be affordable.
But look, we have got an idea in the pipeline. It's not going to happen overnight, but we are we've got an idea to perhaps sort that.
Private plane.
It gives the phrase "you're going home in a fucking ambulance" a bit of legs.
I haven't played on the new Samurai board yet, so I can't comment on it.
No. I can't afford that.
Yeah, I'm afraid no chance. Not with me and my predictions.
Something we could look at.
A live event. We all go together.
Pop World. Live Lounge sponsored by Pop World.
Please.
To be fair, I like the sound of this. I'm up for looking at how we can do something like that.
Vodka. We need more Vodka Wednesdays. That's what we need. I need somebody to drive because now that I can, I owe that many lifts. It's been a sober Wednesday for a long few weeks, apart from last Wednesday, which was lovely.
I don't believe I'm coming to join you on a Wednesday and you're not drinking. That's weird.
I could sort something out. I drank enough last week that they were threatening to cut me off.
To be fair, that's something that we can potentially look at as well, is speaking with maybe some of the unsung heroes that people don't hear from. So, yeah, I like that.
Right,
Mm-hmm. The amount of work that goes into setting this up. We phone each other about 20 minutes before and go, have we got enough graphics? What we
have got better.
We have got better, but I think long term, look, a studio and an actual producer sat in the background, so you're not clicking stuff. You could actually just focus on.
I'll tell you what, I like the idea of this. And we stream it.
We stream a barbecue.
Beers and barbecue stream.
I feel like we've got the perfect host, and he's the one who suggested it.
I like this. I'm a fan of this. Dan, what's your internet like in the pub?
Is it better than Darry Anderson's?
It's not difficult.
Do you have a volume button?
The issue is that everybody has to travel to Newcastle.
That's
my
fair.
house. My house.
Right. Let's be fair. Newcastle, I pretty much have to drive past both of yours on the way.
I'm not on about the team. We can get the team there. We want fans there. We want to interact with everybody. You guys in the chat. I want to see you guys live.
There's the perfect place for interaction. I've already started taking down the days till it happens, and it's Blackpool.
Please.
I'm yes, Dan. That's what I'm talking about. This can happen.
Fine. Parmo and some barbecue.
Right.
Live stream in the snow. No thanks.
Summer beers and barbecue live stream can happen.
We need a DJ. With royalty free. We need a royalty free DJ. an online darts open. Do you know how sillily ironic it would be to have an online darts in-person knockout?
I like that, though. That's something that we can look at doing.
It sort of goes against our name, but yeah.
John O'Shea's in. He's coming over for the barbecue. Again, I like the sound of this as well.
I bet you do, because you're sat at the venue doing bugger all. One of us would have to host. And I'll be completely honest. No, I can't say that because they're about to raid everybody. It wouldn't be in sync with everybody else watching at home. Let's just put it that way.
Who can afford a speedboat?
We're not going to get him a real one. We'll get him a plastic one.
Look at what you could have won. Dun, 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 dun.
To be fair, there's some of the ideas in there have been absolutely superb. There's some really good ones to get our teeth into.
I like them all. I do them all. We just got to fund them all now.
To be fair, the one that we will make happen, beers and barbecue live stream.
Yes.
I am absolutely up for this.
Deal. Put your legs. Barzy's itching to get his legs out, basically.
What do you mean? They're out now.
Yeah, put that.
I've always got shorts on, you know that.
I know you have.
To be honest, he's wearing more than Matt was wearing in Aerodart.
Right, so we need to find a date, work with Dan to use the pub, because one, they've got amazing internet for the beers and barbecue live stream.
Yes.
It's happening.
Super Series commentary from Online Darts Subscribe. Oh, God, that'll get messy. Organise a barbecue. Right? Yeah, we'll just have the function room. Or it'll go around to Dan's.
I'll tell you what, though. Everyone that has made the Live Lounge what it is, it started as just let's test this out and see how it goes. And it's turned into a staple of the calendar for us and for a lot of people. We see the same people commenting in the chat room, supporting us, and it genuinely does mean the world to us, boys.
Couldn't agree more, you ginger mess.
But look, 100 episodes. Next month, we will go again. We will get to 200 and so on, as long as we don't get cancelled. But we are always looking to improve, and we'll always take feedback from you guys on, and there's some great stuff there for us to look at for 2023 and beyond. But as far as 100 show goes, boys, it's been good.
Yeah, I can't complain.
Yeah, it's not been a bad 100. Huge shout out to, we've took the mick out of him for the past couple of hours in short spurts, but a huge shout out to Jarla Veaton, who was a huge part of the start of this, even if he's at Miller and Tartar or dead in married.
We did try to get him on tonight as well because it was 100.
He might be dead married. Who knows? It's Monday. But a huge shout out to Jar.
It's in Monday weddings. That's the best part of this. Back to the best moment. Monday. Who the bloody hell gets married on a Monday?
But the thing is, we've made friends from this and friends of the show and everything like that. People come on at a heartbeat. Mace was gutted; he couldn't come on tonight, but he had stuff on and things like that. And it genuinely it means the world to all of us. So thank you very much from myself, Gob, Boise, Jar, all the team. Dan's done them, Cam's done them, Charlie's done live lounges. It's something that we've created that we never thought we'd get to 100 shows. And 2 and a bit years on, we're still going strong. Plenty coming up, though. We're not going to get too sentimental. The Masters returns. I'll be there. The boys doing their stuff as well. We'll have plenty of stuff on the website as always. Plenty of reaction. Plenty of interviews. We've got a couple of new style videos going to pop up as soon as the timing lets us go. I think that's the fair way to put it.
Yes.
You'll see when it does. We've got one penciled, ready to go. So hopefully you'll like that one. But it wouldn't be us, now that we can do it on here, that we're going to sign out in the only way we know how. First of all, with this.
2 multiplied by 10 plus 1. Romeo done.
That is us signing off for show 100. I've been Phill Bars, Jack Garwood, Lee Boyce, and to everyone, thank you very much. Give yourselves a round of applause. And of course, we will be back same time, same place for the Live Lounge next week. Everyone, thank you very much for your support, and we'll see you all very, very soon.